Well, hello folks! I figured I would do a follow-up to the Leroy Carr video I did a while back, just talking about basic sort of Leroy Carrisms. I thought I'd do a little follow-up. I was learning Gone Mother Blues, and I was reminded that Leroy Carr had some quite interesting and varied patterns in the left hand. Again, I will put the disclaimer out there that this is not 100% probably what Leroy Carr played on recordings, because it's just my ears aren't the greatest, and well, quite frankly, I certainly can't hear everything he's doing. So if you haven't seen my previous one, I would suggest going over that first of all, and then sort of getting that under your fingers before trying this, because this one's a little more advanced. As I said, it's basically just a follow-up. And all the right hand licks, bar a couple, I think I went over in the previous one. The previous one is in C, so you will need to have to transpose, but I think I discussed the scale degrees enough that you can sort of work out the notes in E flat. Hope so, anyway. Yes, so it's before we talked about Leroy Carr style piano, we were talking about this sort of static left hand. Which is absolutely fine by any means, don't get me wrong, but if you're sort of quite comfortable with that, it's nice to advance a little, and this can introduce you to a little bit of stride-esque piano playing. We won't be sort of travelling up in tenths. Very basic stride that you can add and have a very neat sound. So we'll talk about the chords. In the previous one I was talking about these static, so just basic triads throughout the full thing. This time we're going to be using second inversion chords, which basically means you've got the 5 on top, then you've got the root, and then you've got the third. So in the key of E flat, so we're going to have this one in the left hand, that's E flat, and then we've got A flat, and then we've got B flat, and that's it. Well, I'll just go through it. The turnaround starts off with this, just descending down 5s with your root, and then letting the triad ring out. He does an interesting thing on the introduction of Gone Mother Blues, and he doesn't do it throughout every single verse, just a little variation. He sort of pivots on the 6th just before he starts, like this. Again, not essential, but it's a little interesting thing for you. So I'll talk about, I like to call it a Carr pivot. Not the technical term. But he does it on quite a few things, and it's got this very nice bounce to it in the left hand. It also helps that he's a wonderful singer, and I mean, he was playing with Scrapper Blackwell and Josh White and things. But yeah, he's got this very nice bounce in the left hand that sort of keeps things propelling along. Sometimes with the static left hand, it can sound a bit sort of plain, and sometimes it's hard to sort of propel forward. Pete Wheatstraw also had this thing where he would pivot in the right hand, and it just sort of for a variation, I suppose. Anyway, so that's your turnaround. Oh, hang on. Okay, so the first chord. So there's not really much to it. You're playing it like that. So I think you're on the 5, like that. Then you do a little bit of stride in the left hand to go to the 4 chord. Now I'll tell you about this Carr pivot. What it is it's the 1. And then he goes up to the octave, adds the 3rd with the thumb, and he plays it very quickly, and then he sort of, as I said, he pivots on the 5. Like that. So in the context that'll sound like where are we? Like that. Again, it's quite complicated. So start out with just striding. And then once you're sort of confident with that, then you and then, because it's Leroy Carr, as I discussed in the last video, and because it's blues of that era, you're going to go to the 5 chord, you're going to go back to the 1, and then go back to the 5 chord. And this is where Leroy Carr sort of comes into his own. So the riff goes like this. What I'm doing in the right hand is I'm doing the second inversion again, E flat, E flat, G, and then I'm rolling this down here, and then in Godmother Blues he rings out the E flat twice, which makes a really nice sound. And then you can play the 7th if you want as well. But the left hand is the interesting bit here, and as I said, this employs the Carr pivot. So it goes. So we're essentially doing the same thing, but instead of going to that E flat, we go to the octave 5th, which is B flat, and then play a B flat chord after, and then go back to this. And make sure when you get back to here, you properly pivot on this, because that really builds the tension. So slowly it would go like this. Right? So in the context of the 4, it would be. So there's that, and then you go back to the 4. And then on to the 5, you're going B flat and doing the same thing. Or you could just. Sometimes he does it like that, sometimes he does the Carr pivot. And then for that you're rolling in again, the 5, the 3rd, and down dramatically. And let the turn around like that. So, as I said, the left hand is the important bit here, so I'll just do the left hand on its own. Oh. Let's try that again. Okay, so as I said, work around that. You don't need to employ the Carr pivot every single time. As I said, he doesn't do it every single time. Sometimes you'll just stride it. Sometimes you'll just play that. That's the beauty about blues, is that it's not an exact science, and it's not about playing every single thing perfectly 100% of the time. Lucky for me. So that's just what we're talking about. And then once you're confident with that, you can start employing it into different keys. If you want to go to the next key, you probably just move up a fourth and go to A flat, because you've got the A flat already. And you've also got the E flat already. Okay.